Guys, before you go on to this clip, please don't forget to press the subscribe button for more content like this. We post all our clips on this channel from the podcast. I know you're going to enjoy this quite a lot.
I think there is an unsaid sort of commentary on China that we never in the YouTube circles have ever seen somebody talk about that constantly gets put out on Subramaniam Swamy's Twitter handle.
What is that?
Subramaniam Swamy is constantly saying China is aggressing in the Aksai chain and the following region, like right on the Kashmir sort of Ladakh border.
Okay.
And that he keeps saying that the government is not ready to talk about it.
Okay.
And that they don't talk about it because it's publicly admitting a failure.
Okay.
And when people look at this, they often discard it as Swamy's sort of bitterness of sorts. They think, he's not been given a position of power. Like, I'm just talking about Twitter trolls, right? Mm-hmm. Like, this is a very Twitter-centric interaction. But I see him as a very smart fellow. I can see emotions coming into the guy and him being wrong, no problem. I still don't think his insistence year on year that China is an aggressive force in the north as well as the east. You also mentioned Manipur. I'm pretty sure there's a Chinese angle there. Right? Like, how are we playing with respect to Pakistan, with these smaller neighbors, as well as Chinese aggression? Mm-hmm. Yes, that's my question.
So, I'm not aware personally of what Dr. Swamy has been tweeting.
Right.
Okay, I've not seen that. Mm-hmm. I am not that active on Twitter these days of late.
Healthy for you. Really, yes.
Yeah. The deal with China. China is India's number one threat.
Yes.
And China is not a friendly nation. Okay. No. It doesn't want to see India rise. Okay. It sees India as a threat. They may dismiss India. They may be disparaging towards India, but they do that because they see India as a genuine threat to them. The only three threats are India, Russia, and the US.
Yes.
And immediate threats are India and Russia.
Yes.
Yeah. So now we have an official map of India, but that's not the ground reality. Mm-hmm. We know that. Parts of Kashmir are in Pakistani hands right now, temporarily. Aksai chain is in Chinese control.
Right.
Certain parts of Arunachal here and there have been bitten off by China. Mm-hmm. This happened
in the 60s.
In the 60s.
Yes.
Okay, 60s, 70s, whatever, whenever it happened. And the border is not demarcated. The Chinese have steadfastly refused to demarcate the border, which means that the border on a week-to-week basis is kind of fluid. Some days you will have this, some days you will have that. And after the Narendra Modi government came to power, we have seen a significant uptick in the number of clashes between Indian and Chinese soldiers. Why is that? What does it tell you? It tells you that the Chinese are no longer satisfied with the status quo, which means that they had a certain way of doing things and now that is being challenged and it's being pushed back upon. The Indians are becoming more aggressive and more assertive and they are pushing back against the Chinese intrusions. So the Chinese are renowned for their salami slicing tactics and they've been nibbling away at Indian territory from the 60s, 70s onwards. And the Indian government, until Mr. Modi came to power, had this policy of neglecting the border regions. Don't develop roads there. If you develop roads there, it will allow the Chinese to invade India more easily.
That's quite an approach.
So it ensured that our armed forces did not have any access to the border regions. So it meant the Chinese could build up the roads, infrastructure, whatever they wanted, and keep on nibbling away at Indian territory. So I am not sure what the ground situation is and how much territory have they been able to successfully nibble away over the past 7-8 decades, whatever it was, since the 1950s when Mr. Nehru allowed the Chinese to take over Tibet. But I'm sure it's happened. I mean, I've been to the LAC, I've been to Chushul and whatever places. I've seen the Chinese roads over there. Okay, you can see it just standing on the Indian side of the undemarcated LAC. You can see that. So I'm sure that's happened. But I am pretty certain that after Mr. Modi came to power and the fact that we have seen this significant uptick in the number of clashes between India and China, the Galwan thing was the first deadly clash since the 1980s or whatever it was. So it tells you that the Chinese are no longer comfortable with the way things are. They're really uncomfortable and the Indian army is now, the BRO, Border Roads Organization, is working overtime, day and night, even in the coldest of climate, in winter and all, they're working day and night, building roads everywhere. So India is building a massive amount of infrastructure now on the border regions, and the Indian patrolling is now assertive, not necessarily aggressive, but very assertive that this is our territory. You will not cross this line. You shall not cross, like Gandalf said.
Yes, like Gandalf the White.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's what is causing these clashes.
Right.
I'm not sure as to what exactly the current border is, who occupies what territory. There's gonna be some fluidity in that. So So I am pretty sure that after Mr. Modi came to power, things have become really, we have really tightened up the ship and tightened up the operations in the border. And that is what has caused China this great amount of discomfiture. And now things are even better, I would say. Now we are now seeing a dying out of the number of clashes that's happening. Earlier, like in 2018, 2019, 2020, 21 also, there were massive clashes. You found all these videos online, coming up on Twitter or whatever, of Indians and Chinese clashing with these primitive weapons,
Yeah, sometimes even their hands, like
Hands
punching
and
and
all that,
whatever
yes.
also.
गोलगप्पे खाएगा, I know
Yeah.
that.
भाई वो मारता है उसको पता है मुंह पे मुक्का एक वीडियो देखा था.
Yeah.
Right.
But now that's also kind of, tapering down.
Right.
Which means that the Chinese may possibly be now beginning to come to terms with the new realities.
Right.
So that is how I see it. I am very optimistic. I am sure there has been encroachment in the past. Nobody can deny that. But I don't think it's happened in the past 10 years.
ब्रो, अगर ये सुन के आपको मजा आया किसी भी एंड तक, अगर आप यहाँ तक देख रहे हो तो मजा आया ही, ठीक है? अपने आप से बात मत करो फालतू की. एक काम करो, सब्सक्राइब. ट्रस्ट मी.